And it's showtime. Welcome back, people, to another episode of The Truth About Experts. This is episode 3, and today is kind of a follow up. Whoops. Hey, everyone. Wait, let me do it professional like. Um, today's a follow up on the episode. I left the description in the link. Dolph joined us the other day, and he just shared a bit of his pain. But there were some events after he's done that. Some people didn't like what he had to say, and today we coming back on to clear the air because, well, and again, we kind of tongue tied. So forgive us, people. There's things we can and can't say now. We're still figuring out what it is we can and can't say. But every day we're learning. Okay, so we're not going to be mentioning any names or anything here. But Dolph needs to clear the air. Before I bring Dolph on, you know this guy, right? Everyone knows this guy. Welcome back,
Yeah.
Kylo.
Thank you,
Dolph,
man.
I'm just going to take
Appreciate
you
it.
off for now. Sorry about that, Dolph. I'm going to bring you back on now. Yeah, Kylo's just going to be regularly co-hosting the show with me just because he makes it so awesome. Type in the chat or hit the like button if you feel that Kyle should just take over the show. Please do.
No. Look. I think tonight's topic is definitely going to be something that people would want to hear. Mainly because these are tactics that is generally used by these people. These people they kind of use these legal bulldogs. These legal Dobermans.
That's
To
it.
keep people quiet and to gag you. So I don't think that at the end of the day that we are going to stand for it. We are not scared of these people. And we plan on taking them on head on. Like that's exactly what we are going to do. We're going to bring about change. So, yeah, that's it from me, man. Like that's all that I can say.
Yeah, call it scare tactics, professional scare tactics, and they should have their own show. Type in the chat if you feel that professionals should have their own show. If you just joining us right now and you're a little bit of confused about what we're talking about, have you ever spoken up for yourself publicly on social media, shared how you felt, and your ex comes at you and shoots you down, and next thing you've got legal threats, and they're calling you all sorts of names, crazy, deranged,
All
unemployed,
these,
useless, whatever the case may be, just trying to shut you down, and and then you're left thinking, you know what, maybe they're right. Maybe I am crazy. Maybe I am useless. Maybe I am what I say. Maybe I shouldn't be in my child's life. Have you ever felt like that? Type yes in the comments if you have felt like that. And throughout the
I
show,
know I
please.
felt like it. I know I felt like it, because they tend to they call you insane. They say that they're acting in the best interest of the child and that you are not, and they make you feel like you have no idea what you are doing. Sometimes these people, they're not even parents. They have no idea what it is
Yeah,
that they are doing. But they are
exactly.
the ones to tell you like, hey, you don't know what you're doing and you psycho and you all of this. Like, I mean, Dom, you've also had some experience now recently with your counterpart, shall I say?
Oh
In
yeah.
some in in
This
some
one, this one is this is a special dedication to her. I'll share all of that information, and we'll see what sticks, what happens after that. I mean, by now I'm used to false accusations and lawsuits and all of that.
you
So
say you're numb to it.
might as well. It keeps me going,
Exactly.
gives me something to do since I'm so useless. Anyways, Dolph, let's bring Dolph on first, and
Yep. Let's bring him on.
welcome, Dolph.
Good evening, guys.
Hey,
How
hey,
are you
Dolph,
doing
how are
today?
you?
How are you feeling?
I'm okay. Yeah. I mean, we spoke earlier. Dominic, hi, Carl. Good seeing you again.
Hey, what's up?
You too,
Same,
Um,
man.
same, same.
Yeah, you have that a bit of feeling of uselessness. We all sort of are buckling under the whole COVID thing. In the job market, it's going crazy at the moment.
Yeah.
It's a different world out there, right? And then
Especially
if
if
you
you're a
have to
business
also,
owner.
yeah, and if you have to also then battle psychologists that pretend to be lawyers or lawyers that pretend to be psychiatrists.
Vice versa.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it just changes the dynamics and it adds to the woes. And then of course we also just had Christmas. Christmas is a troubled, tough time for divorcing
Most parents,
parents.
yeah,
Um,
without a
yeah,
doubt.
and divorced parents and even unmarried parents that are separated from their children. It's a tough time. People sort of bend the rules the way they want to. I was supposed to see my son for 5 consecutive days over Christmas somewhere. That never happened.
Oh,
And then the
Why?
and
Why? If
then
I may ask, why? Why? What was
well,
the
the
reason
what
excuse
was
you
the,
was
not?
what was the reason?
because we sort of I'm contesting the family advocate's report, right? I
Mhm.
recorded the session and the report is completely misaligned to the recorded session in
Right.
principle, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm contesting it and I'm asking the question, why is it different? The answer I got the answer today from someone at CPS saying, well, look, everyone is swamped under work, a family advocate office in particular, and they throw so many cases through the mill, it ends up being a bit of a copy paste exercise and they get it wrong because they're human, right? The problem is, the kids end up taking the
Are
brunt
they?
of the
Are,
adult errors, right?
sorry to break your word, but are they human? Yes, I just want to
Well, look,
throw it in there.
you gotta always, I mean, questioning the humanity of someone versus, I don't know. The straightforward
Look,
answer to me is right. The straightforward answer to me is, I think when you in that type of industry, psychologists, psychiatrists, family advocates, and attorneys, dealing with similarities in cases, bundling them into little groups, right? You tend to
Yeah.
have oftentimes a bit of an umbrella approach, right? And I think you
yeah,
get cold. I think you quickly sort of nitpick on the outlying areas. You bundle it into your groupings, and you have your umbrella approach just to get it done because you've got a stack of files, you know, feet high on your right hand side that you still got to do that today still. So I think you get desensitized, and I think at some point you sort of you lose your humanity in having to do a very very crucial function in society because people divorce,
true.
people separate, people leave each other all the time, and that's a very crucial function. And I think in the professional environment in health and safety, for instance, right?
Mm-hmm.
In aviation, I'm from aviation engineering. Spent quite a bit of time in my career there. You get
Yeah.
recurrent training, sensitizing you again to the very, very pertinent, important factors associated with in the aircraft
Exactly.
industry safety, right? So I
Right.
think perhaps there's a case for these people to be resensitized. I don't think attorneys, when they start off, go into their
They
career
start all, yes. Okay.
trying to be
I
psychologists
agree.
too. I don't
Yeah,
think they try
Yeah.
to
I
be
agree.
psychologists. I
They,
think they
they over
tend to
time they become desensitized and with all of the
right, and
caseloads
they
and
rely. I
100%.
bet you they start off relying, right? As an engineer, I start off relying on electrical engineers. I'm not an electrical engineer, so I rely on an electrical engineer, mechanical engineer to give me different
Yes.
inputs. But as I
Yeah.
sort of grow in my career, I end up making calls on stuff, and I've seen this before. And I go to a directory where I've saved it, and I put it in, and it looks right, and I just apply it, and we go right, just as a pre.
Correct.
So I think attorneys, when they start off, they rely on psychologists' report, and then at some point end up just doing this stuff. But okay, just to get back to your question, Dominic. So I
Yeah.
got a very harsh letter today. The letter calling me all sorts of things. I had a tough Christmas. It's been a tough time also professionally for me. I have to make some tough decisions as well. So I got an attorney's letter calling me all sorts of irrational, this, that, and the other, saying that I need to get some help, and saying that
Dolph, let's just actually go through this here, so we
sure,
can just see some of the things, so that we can just see some of the things that they are saying here, right? And then let's kind of call a spade a spade. So literally, it starts off obviously with normal jargon. It says it has come to our attention that you are busy defaming our client. Just
yeah.
about to whoever wants to listen. Now, apart from the fact that your total behavior in this regard is illegal, not exactly sure what makes you coming onto a platform speaking about your experiences illegal.
I'm
Please,
not sure. I
please,
thought it was a
legal
constitution.
professional. Sorry, before you continue, Dolph. Again, I wait. This is something that I learned. We are not legal professionals, so please, legal professionals who
Weigh
If
are
you
in,
want to
yeah.
watching this,
weigh
please
in.
do not hesitate. Do not hesitate to leave a comment, whether you're watching this live or you're watching the replay. Please answer the question: what exactly did Dolph do that is so illegal? All right, carry on, Dolph.
No, I mean we can carry on. I don't think I did anything illegal. I certainly have been, because of economic circumstances, have had to fight my own case, pretty much. And my
Yep.
my last attorney ended up putting my letters in that attorney's letterhead and just pushed it through. So I think at some point I thought, look, let me just do this myself, pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So I mean,
it just
they
goes
go
on
on
with
to
all.
say,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, Dom. Sorry to cut you off there again. But I'm just going through. Do you mind, Dom, just zooming in again, please? Just I literally just want to go through this, and I actually just want to call it out to the audience and just say, like, all of the things that is being said to this man. And
Give
this
your
is
opinion.
literally just because of the fact that he came onto our platform and he tried to help other parents by literally just giving his experience, and his experiences with family court, with lawyers, etc. So it basically, it goes on to say, well, the present behavior prompts us to believe that there is actually more to your behavior, which we initially thought. And after going through our records, it would appear as if your behavior is becoming more and more acrimonious and aggressive, if not emotionally uncontrollable and or unstable, which could cause a safety problem for our client and obviously the little one.
Yeah.
Dolph, tell me quickly. I mean,
Can we stop there for a second, right?
yes, let's
So
let's do that.
I got this letter today. So on
Yes.
Saturday, the past weekend, I got to see my boy, right? Now my ex
Yeah.
have now, I think, gone on to a different relationship. I'm not in a relationship. I'm not entirely sure.
Lisa,
But yes, absolutely. But
Mhm.
and the new guy.
Yeah.
And the new guy's got a boy. I incidentally coached my boy and this boy. I coached cricket at my son's school. So I know
Okay.
the boy, he knows me. And we, my son asked if he can come with on our fishing trip on Saturday.
hmm
And yeah, the father and my ex said, no, it's fine. He can go with. And he went with.
That's good.
So,
That's good.
so yeah, well, this dangerous guy got to have someone else's kid, allowed by the mother who instructed the attorney to call me dangerous, to come with me on a fishing trip.
Yeah. That.
So
I
is
mean,
that
look again.
dangerous or neglectful now?
I don't know. I
mean,
just
Look.
have
I think.
questions. I just
Go
have
ahead. No.
questions.
No, of course. I mean, we have questions too, and again, this
yeah.
platform is not kind of spearheaded towards any of our exes, or to kind of
Yes.
it is literally just so that we can speak about our experiences, and so that we can actually help, because at the end of the day, we are dealing with an unjust system. We are dealing with a system full of crooks, and predominantly for me, these crooks are actually these lawyers, because these lawyers are literally taking money from their clients for absolutely nonsense, and they are coming up with all types of terminology and legal jargon in order to actually make it look as if they've got a case. And what they also try to do is they try to frighten you, and they try to these bully tactics. I mean, I've got no other word for these people, but just they are bullies, man. And I mean,
Yeah.
literally, look at what they are saying here. I mean, they go on to speak about your mental health. Like what constitutes, what gives them that right? Are they registered psychologists? Do you know,
I
Dolph?
don't know,
Maybe,
but
I don't know.
through this process, I had to go. I paid one of these psychological assessment professionals 15,000 rand to do an
Now look there.
assessment as part of this whole process with a
Divorce
third
and stuff.
party or a specialist social worker. They do a psychological report. I have from 3 different psychiatrists a clean bill of health, from 2 psychologists, because I get asked these questions quite a bit to go, and I do it by myself as well. I go and drumbeat my mental health, go sit with these people, go say, listen, I'm taking a bit of strain here. Can we have a discussion? And then end up asking them to formally give some sort of outcome in relation to the status they perceive me to be in relation to my mental health, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I mentioned some aspects earlier with Christmas and COVID and jobs and problems and decisions I have to make, and it does take strain, right? But not the type of strain that influences certainly the safety on my son, and also most certainly not the type of strain that I think an attorney is qualified to identify
Yeah.
and address. So I posed an answer, and I effectively said, listen, I'll resubmit myself once again for I don't know, psychological tests or some sort of
Go for it.
psychiatric assessment, and that's where we
Exactly.
are now. So let's
Okay.
I mean, I can only, if they want to step in the shoes of a different professional to their profession,
Mm-hmm.
if they want to
Mm-hmm.
step in those shoes, then I'll go and sit with them, but let's call in someone who's qualified and do a formal assessment,
But
and
that's exactly it. I mean, look at I mean, me myself, I've also had to go for psychological assessments because of the accusations that have been thrown my way.
right,
I've had to
right,
go with psychological assessments with Medisa. I've had to go and get private psychological assessments, and literally all of these psychological they come back clean.
yes,
There's never an issue. So again, I asked, what makes these lawyers and what makes these people, qualified to actually make sort of these
Allegations,
assumptions, these
assumptions.
allegations of mental instability. I mean, the letter doesn't even make sense. And so
well, look,
Dolph, like, mhm.
yeah, no, if you look at the psychological assessment, we did a very expensive one, a very detailed one. I think it
Yeah,
was 2 3-hour sessions of computer question and answers, cross-reference. These psychological tests are designed
yeah,
to
psychometric tests. Yeah,
verify and check you and recheck you in different scenarios. So,
yeah,
I mean, it was very, very clear that, everyone must accept there's some sort of burden you carry. I was an orphan child. I think a lot of my realization has come in relation to my son, that I never had a father. So I'm doing everything to give my son a father, something that I didn't have. And it's something that I've recently realized that's slowly, I'm beating myself up about it. So we all have issues, right? And for
yeah.
someone to come and then allege something, remember, this is now being alleged. It was alleged when they started off with the Rule 43. Those allegations I had to go and disprove them. We went for these psychiatric reports. None of these allegations, right, appear in that psychiatric report. None of them.
Okay.
That's the professional. Then
And
the
yeah,
four reports I have from 2 psychiatrists and 2 psychologists, 2 psychiatrists, 2 psychologists, yes, giving me a clear bill of mental health, but putting some stress factors in relation to my son as outlying factors, which I need to manage, which I am. Um, I
look,
don't know
also
what.
just for transparency,
Lost you there, Kyle? Oh, you on
audio's
mute. So sorry, you were muted.
There we go. Is that good?
There we
Can
go.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
So I just for transparency, guys. Sorry, I just lost you on the headset there. So I've basically just I've just done a Google search now, just psychological evaluation in divorce cases, and what they do say though is they say that psychological testing plays a role in many divorce cases, even when
You want to share
mental
that?
illness. Hey,
You want to share
yeah, I
that
can
on
share it.
screen?
No, I can definitely share it. It's just the first part of the screen. Just bear with me. Can you guys see? So I'm just looking at the first. I'm just looking at the first result where it says that psychological testing plays a role in many divorce cases, even when mental illness isn't a glaring concern for either parent. The court needs to accurately assess the parenting capability of each parent and determine whether a parent's mental state poses a risk to the child's safety. So essentially, these what my understanding of that would be that not all of these assessments is actually sort of deemed or brought about by your partners or by the partners. In your case, Dolph, was that the case? I mean, did the court have to actually ask you to go for a psychological assessment, or was it actually brought about by your
No. I chose a path where we did the voice of the child, which is a designed toolkit. I had a lady in Pretoria, which I paid, I think, something you get to sit in her waiting area once you've paid the 5,000 Rand consultancy fee. And I think it was in the region of 70 odd thousand Rand for those sessions. Then there was the play therapy sessions that also come with that, which was,
Sure.
Also 1,200 Rand per session. And then, which, twice a week, I think, for the child. And then the psychological assessment. So they take a holistic, I don't think that's the word, but they take an approach like that where they have these roles where the social worker, professional social worker, does a voice of the child. The child gets an assessment therapy sessions, several, and then they also get to assess you psychologically, and that's part of their process. There was never a question raised. I think one of the questions that was raised was initially when my ex had two dire psychiatric diagnoses, which the third one came out that look, it's not the case. So when you get to go to psychiatrists, I think you get to go to different psychiatrists, either confirming or denying their view or position on you, especially if you don't tell them historically that someone else had a specific view. So if I go to a psychiatrist with schizophrenic disorder, they diagnose me with that. I go to another psychiatrist and they say, no, you don't have. I don't tell them, I don't declare it. I do a fresh assessment, and they say, no, it's dissociative identity disorder, or whatever the case may be. So I think you get to go through the mill until the diagnosis fits your mindset, I suppose, or what you want to achieve. So I don't know. All I know is, look, I was afforded a couple of minutes here, guys, but I just wanted to effectively clear the air and say, look, I think for me, what's important is I started off the process being called all sorts of things, right? A drug user, an alcoholic, pretty much everything, an adulterer, and also
I can tell you from somebody from
assault.
Cape Town. I can tell you, somebody from Cape Town. I know what drug users look like. You definitely don't look like a drug user. I'll tell you straight up. Like, I mean, I don't know. But I can tell you that you definitely don't look like one.
Look, I had to go for those tests, hair follicle tests, liver coefficient deficient transferrin test. I had to go for several of those. Those are expensive. They're $1,000 a pop for the blood test, for the alcohol thing, and I had to do. Yeah, I had to do several of
At
those.
your own expense.
Yes.
Isn't
And at that point, I had to borrow money because I got in trouble for not going. I said I didn't have money. There's my bank statements. Please provide me with a state service, or ask my ex to pay for this, or a
Are you
attorney,
telling
or
me that they
anyone.
order you to actually fork out the money for this?
Yes.
Is it an order that they give you from the court to state that you need to actually submit to these tests?
No, they just make it really difficult. They stop the process. They issue.
Wait, sorry, Dolph. So in order
Yeah.
to see your child, because that's all you want at the end of the day, am I right?
Right.
Yes.
So in order to see your child, you need to take drug
Have
tests
money.
and
Have money. Basically,
have
have money.
Yeah,
You have a lot. You have to have a lot of money. I mean, I played sports relatively professionally and for a long time. So there was always supplements use in our house, right? And some of those supplements at that point, this game discontinued. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that, but I think they said it themselves. This game proposes now for some time now that their substances are clean. There was the Chili Boy Ralapele instance and Bjorn Basson, if I remember correctly from my days, that bought something from this game and ended up testing positive for an anabolic steroid, right? So there was allegations of anabolic steroid use. So and those things make you dangerous if you use those things. Then you become dangerous. So there were allegations, but they never asked me to go for tests for that, because those tests, I think, you can only do it in one or two places, and only the Athletics Federation can do them, and there are silly rules around those tests, right? So they never asked me to go for that test to determine whether I am a threat because I have a high some sort of anabolic rate or whatever the case may be, because those things do fiddle with you, right? So but I never got asked to go for any of those tests, but I did have to go for a hair follicle test twice, and I have to go for liver CDT, which is a test to just look into your history on your liver, whether you do excessive drinking. So the long and short is, these guys have you jump through hoops all the time, and it's a syndicate of people. I know it's not right, but listen, wait. Right. I think there's a case for some people. If there's a history of certain things, right, in your history, in your past, but without, I mean, if you are aggressive, I played rugby for 20 years, right, and never threw one punch, but I'm an aggressive. If you want to be aggressive somewhere, right, as a man, that's where you're aggressive, right? Right, and rugby players, for instance, never do anything half-hearted. Never, because you end up getting hurt. You just go in full pace. So I wasn't known for throwing punches. I was known for hard, aggressive tackles. But that's par for the course, man. I mean, that's you got to weigh that up.
That's what you hired for.
Yeah. So, anyways, they make it difficult. They make it unbearable. Yeah, and it's a psychological.
I want to ask you this. How does it make you feel? Because I think that's where we're going to. How does it make you feel that you constantly?
And also not only that, but financially, what did it like? Did it set you back at all? Like, what did it do to you financially?
Oh my word! Yeah, I don't have parents that I could call. So I grew up orphan. Everything that I've built today is God's grace and hard work, and I've lost most of that. When the divorce started 3 years ago, I had an affluent home, 3 motor vehicles, large home, large estate in the east of Pretoria, lived well, ate well, and it just sort of went backwards from there. But it's not anyone's fault. It's just the process strangling you little bit by little bit, It's almost like it's almost like a planned effort, right? To get the last bit of air out of your lungs until you give up and simply just flee. And I think if you think about psychology, if you think about I spoke to someone who said, look, if you slowly but surely, you're like a python, suffocating their prey, or like putting a frog, you know the analogy of the frog in warm water, and you and they just sit in the water. It starts off cold, and then it starts getting warmer, and next thing you have a dead boiled frog. But they never jump around, apparently. I've never done it. But I mean, that's the analogy, right? And I think the process just slowly frustrates you. It slowly gets you gets you into
And I mean, like Dolph, we've got Chantal saying that she was with her husband for 18 years, and her date or her court date would be on the 21st of January, and that at that point her divorce will be finalized, and she hopes that she doesn't have to go through the family court. I'm assuming, in order to actually kind of decide, who gets who. What would your advice be to her? I mean, in terms of just sorting it out amicably and things like that. What would your solid advice be to her?
Look, my advice today, right, to females are very different to males, right? Because my advice to females is, look, don't use your child. Don't be malicious. And I give that advice just because of my experience, right? I'm not saying all females are. I'm not saying all girls do that. But if you go and look at
good girls, sorry.
Yes, absolutely. If you go look at statistics, you tend to see that. I mean, statistically, mothers end up doing this, right? Yes. Statistically, they end up being alienators or potential alienators, and there's a syndrome called.
I'm not too sure about that though, Dolph. To be honest with you, I'm not too sure because I read about something. I read about an article earlier. I think it was earlier last week or this week that actually says that it would appear as though the statistics actually shows that it comes from both sides. Like even females. Yeah. So I don't know.
So I'm thinking now. Perhaps my perception has been chewed away by groups like Fathers for Justice. It's an all male group, right? And you have hundreds of men complaining. So it's not the same as Pain SA, where you have all kinds of people. You got Chantal on here now, saying. So getting back to my advice to Chantal is just be amicable. Don't be malicious, and go and resolve your issues. Skip the family court thing. Do a family plan. Put a family plan together. Get into a mediation process. If I had known, mediation is mandatory. The judge president of Limpopo and all the others followed suit after that. But somewhere in November last year, the judge president of Limpopo sent out a practice directive to all attorneys and advocates that you will not enter their courtrooms if there has not been an attempt to mediate. Because, with COVID, with people having to live together, oftentimes for the first time ever, right, in COVID,
but now
they ended up... Yes.
Sorry, Dolph. I have to jump in there. Mediation might be mandatory, but now we need to look at who's actually qualified to mediate, because
that's another topic.
Second part of this segment is me having a little bit of trouble with a mediator. So
I just want to show that. I want to step off there.
So
I want to step off there. You've given me a lot of air, and I appreciate it. But I had an issue with a specific mediator, which I ended up, which my
don't name names.
My wife.
Remember.
Lee Wade. She's on this mediation network, right? I got her.
I said don't mention names.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I didn't hear. I apologize. Well, look. I have asked another attorney to confirm registration of the individual, and the individual's not registered. After I've been told the individual is indeed registered, right? Then someone else told me, look, it's not even, there's no specific qualification. And when I walked into mediation, my ex was there already, my wife was there already, and she was in tears because of a story of a baby that was just taken away from parents. And I'm just thinking to myself, look, if you're a mediator, you don't bring in other stories to the platform. You focus on the actual story. If that story brings you to tears, right, then fair. But if you go and probe someone else's mental psyche with other stories and you tell them about your dead dog and they're in tears, you've offset the balance of the discussion immediately, right? So I after I found out there's a problem and a conflict of interest there, and I was told by my son's attorney, because I got him an appointed attorney, that there is a conflict of interest and there is going to be a problem if it's not a registered mediator. I got hold of another mediator, right? And I asked this mediator by chance, are you a registered mediator? And she made the mistake and she said, well, I did both of the 4-day courses. So it seems it takes 2 courses or 4 days.
You can't just skip past that.
How do you?
You can't just wait. 4-day course, and that mediation has what power in court?
To destroy families.
Yeah. So I just want to.
Sorry, Dolph.
Yeah, so I want to. I'll listen on and I want to sort of end up my story here, but the mediation didn't work because of, I think the Department of Social Justice have specific standards and requirements for someone to be a mediator, and I think it comes with specific qualifications in law. It may, I don't know, but certainly some psychological alignment, right, and a specific process that needs to be followed, I think. So I couldn't get a mediator that's registered, and now the mediation has failed, and we are at a place now where I get yet again to be accused by people who are not psychiatrists, psychologists. It's like the analogy I used is you give Panado tablets to someone with cancer. That person needs treatment from a doctor that gives radiation or cancer treatment. Right? Not from a GP that gives you treatment for a headache. So again, guys, thank you for the opportunity, Carl. And
Dolph, don't leave us. I actually want you to stay.
No, I'm not going to leave.
I want you to stay on. And I'm going to do the same. Just share my story, my experience now, because today is talking about again. Experts that use scare tactics. So here's what happened on my side. Whoops, Kyle, that's you still. All right, cool. Right, so I left a little review. Dolph,
just before you go there, Dom, just before
I'm here. I'm on.
Okay.
I'm on.
Oh yes,
okay,
yes.
That's all perfect. I just actually wanted to go back in terms of what is it that is actually a requirement to be a mediator, right? So guys, according to the website of the Justice Department in South Africa, and I'm
can you zoom in there, but Kylo?
I actually can't. I think can you zoom in from your end using the software?
I can't.
Like
just control and plus
see?
there. Yeah.
You see.
And you can move it around there. All right.
So it says with the Department of Justice how you register as a mediator is that for registration the person must have completed a 40-hour course. A 40-hour course with any of the mediation companies or universities providing mediation training. That is what so these are people that literally have to say in your marriage or how your marriage is dissolved. And these are the people that actually get to say, well, look, let's try and resolve it amicably. And then what if it's not resolved amicably, they are the ones who needs to write the report that goes to court. And state why mediation failed.
That decides your life after that. How
40
you get
hours.
To see your child.
40 hours.
Okay.
Guys, seriously, 40 hours. I mean, do you think that 40 hours is enough to literally, if let's say it's a high conflict case, do you think that 40 hours is sufficient training for somebody to kind of advise somebody and say, where a child must go, or at least
type in the comments below.
Yeah, so, it's a life-changing thing, isn't it? It's I wouldn't go to anyone with 40 hours of experience or training.
I mean, neither would I. And it goes to show as to why basically, why these things actually go south. Why it always is, why things can't be resolved. And it's not because, nobody's blaming the mediators directly, and all that we are saying is that 40 hours qualify you to actually sort of step in the middle of a high conflict case and try and resolve these issues amicably. I mean, what type of conflict resolution training have you done? All of those type of things add and play a role as to how you are actually going to conduct yourself in these sessions, you know. But anyway, Dom, I think let's go back to your little run-in with your bulldogs.
We'll go back to that now. But what I want to ask mediators watching this, if you're there, that 40 hours, does it include also assessing psychology? Because before I paid the mediator, that was what I asked. I did a little bit of research on the different personality disorders and manipulation tactics that's used and all of that. And I asked before I paid, are you qualified? Do you know how to identify these things? Oh yeah, I can see right through it. I know, and all of it. And it's like everything I asked, it was answered like brilliantly. Like I actually yeah.
Sorry, Dom. I just wanted to also point out, Bronwyn May has actually just commented in the comment section, and she's actually a lawyer, if I'm not mistaken, right? Bronwyn is a lawyer,
Yes.
And she's actually stated that to be a mediator, you need to be registered with a specific forum, and that forum, she actually put the link in the comment section for anybody who's interested. It is right. the South African Association of Mediators, right? So.
That's right.
Okay,
And
so
but this is that's an NPO as well.
Is it? Okay, well,
as far as I know,
we can do our research on this association and see.
We'll do another segment on that.
That we'll leave for another day. Thank you so much for that, Bronwyn. Appreciate it. Dom, I think let's go to your little run-in with your bulldogs, bro.
Where do I start? Okay, so I'm not going to go into the whole background of when I started.
Well, let's start with what happened.
All I did was
what happened.
I left a review on a website.
Okay.
Actually, on Facebook, on the website of the organization that this particular mediator works for, or operates under the name, right? Of which I cannot mention. So. We will call this particular mediator Miss A, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And Miss A told me everything that I needed to hear. At that time, remember, I called. I was stressed out. I'm removed from my child's life. Long story short, she told me what is happening to you is wrong. You've got a court order. You've got the family plan. And I'm like, okay, what if that family plan isn't adhered to? No, the mother's supposed to spend a year in jail and all of that. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't really want the mother of my child spending a year in jail. I always think of what is that actually going to do to my child, right? So they say you need to have the best interest of the child at heart. And all that I want to do is see my child as I've seen her for 12 years. All right. So long story short, I didn't have much joy with this lady, and I left a review on her site. And this was my review right here. Okay. I said, Miss A helps alienate kids. Terrible service, has no interest in the child or their best interest, and fabricates stories and lies all the time, which she has. That's why she kept asking me to. Well,
let me get this straight. So
the time I went to,
go finish up. Sorry, man. I just want to confirm. So what you are saying is that you had an experience with somebody who provided a service to you. This somebody, this somebody is a member of an association, if I'm correct, right? And then what actually happened was this association has kind of a review section on a public platform, and you left
on their Facebook page. Yes.
So on their Facebook page, they've got a review section where you can actually review their services, and you left a bad one.
That's right.
Am I correct?
Right.
Okay. So you left a bad review.
This is the one I left. All right. So this was the reply to that. All right. It's the ethical standards that they adhere to. Let me just zoom in here a bit. right? So I had a couple of questions since I got a public reply. Is Miss A an expert in parental alienation cases? As we've established that these alienation cases are kind of unique and there's a lot of manipulation involved. And she said we should um, resolve the dispute in an amicable way. So I'm saying, okay, please explain how we resolve it in an amicable way. And yeah, and
No,
and I
I don't
also
know. I said
asked.
yes.
Sorry. I also asked for the code that they say that they follow. So it's the NAPFAM code of conduct,
Yep.
right? So
On that website right now.
amicably, that word. Help me there, Kyle.
Amicably.
Amicably.
Yep.
So yeah, long story short, next thing I get is a threat, right? I get a phone call saying that I'm going to be arrested if I don't remove all mentions of the network or I need to remove the review as well. And I swear I got this year protection order faster than I got the reply from this Miss A ever, right?
On your case with your child.
On my
Did you guys lose me? Who did we lose here? Who's guys? Dom, did we lose you? Did you guys lose me?
Well, now I've got you still.
Okay, that's perfect, Dolph. So I think we lost Dom then. Yeah. So I'm not sure what Dom was about to say. That Dom, if you can hear us, just reconnect. We lost you there. I mean, so I'm basically okay. Dom just said that his PC just crashed and he's busy restarting. So we'll pick it up from there. I mean, Dolph, what do you think? I mean, in terms of just kind of in Dom's case where he left a review on a section for this mediator. And this review section was on a public platform, and he left
Yeah.
a bad review, and this is
Right.
the backlash, the type of bullying that he got. What do you think about that?
Do you remember there was a platform, hellopeter.com? I'm not sure if it still exists, right?
It's still in
But
existence. Yeah.
yeah, so isn't that the reason for a platform like that? If you remember, this person is supposed to deliver a service, and it's an important service, right? It is a service that determines outcomes potentially
Correct.
towards children,
How do you
and
exactly?
yeah, and also your financial means and financial outcomes, and where you're going to live, and all sorts of determinations that come off of this process.
Yeah.
So you leave a review there.
Forgive me, guys.
And
My PC
you
just
know,
restarted.
Welcome
are
back,
you
Dom.
back?
Yep, he's
Welcome back.
So you
So
were saying, Dom?
I think it's par for the course. I think if you leave a review there for other people to see, there would potentially be some level of discussion if in relation to it, either on the public platform or in person. But no one should ever ask you or force you to take your what is it? You know, you have a what's the English word, man? You got a statement to make, because this is
Right
what
to
you
my opinion.
experience.
Your
Yeah,
opinion.
it's an opinion, right? And it's
Yeah.
isn't that a right in our constitution as well?
I believe so.
To
Freedom
be
of speech and things like that.
Yeah,
You know,
to
if
be
I'm not mistaken.
opinionated about something, as long as being opinionated is not blasphemous or
That's
takes
right.
on right. So no, I think you have the right to do it. If you then receive backlash from that, one has to weigh up. If someone brings in the big guns and shoot you off of the face of this earth after you've merely put your opinion on a public page, you have to ask some questions there.
So here's actually a very good question, and I agree, or I'm not agree, but I think I would like to answer, or not I would like to answer, but I would like to weigh in from everybody. Where Bronwyn actually asked, Bronwyn May again, guys. She asked, she basically says, how does one mediate parental alienation matters? Now, I think that's a very good question. Let's say that you are a mediator and you have the responsibility of mediating in a parental or in what would appear to be a parental alienation case. How do you do that? How exactly, in order to ensure fairness and things like that? How do you mediate that matter or that case? What do you guys think?
So mediators, if you're watching, if I mean this is your profession, please educate us. Kyle, am I right
But I
by
mean,
saying that
how would you have liked your case to have been mediated?
my
What
case
would
to
you have?
be mediated? Okay, what I would have liked is that
Let's say you were Miss A. Let's say you were Mrs. A.
my ex.
Let's say you were Mrs. A, right? And you had to
Yes.
mediate a case
Okay.
between somebody who was basically going through a high conflict divorce or a high conflict separation, and the kid was involved, and you guys are trying to basically, sort of work out care and contact and things like that. What would your approach be?
Calling both parties in, not the child. The child shouldn't
Okay.
be asked, who do you choose, who do you want to be with? All right. So mother and father, call them both in. What is the story here? Okay, if any allegations have been made, do you have proof of that? If you don't have proof of that, then you should be telling that party at least. Do you know the
But
implications of making false accusations?
Mediation doesn't consider that, if I'm not mistaken. Mediation, they are literally there just to mediate. So they are there. They don't care about any issues. They are there literally just to ensure that whatever you guys or the discussions that is being handled at the table, that it's basically done amicably. And it's done in fairness and all of those type of things. So I believe that that is
And in the
essentially
best
what
interest
role
of the child.
mediator. Exactly. So, I mean, so they're not going to listen to your issues or whatever issues you might have. That is put on the table. But the purpose would be to discuss care and contact with the child. I mean, how would you?
What happens with the child?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in terms of where you believe that you are being alienated, what would your approach be as the mediator? What would your first approach be? What do you think would be the most important? I mean, you said that you would leave the voice of the child, because, and I think I agree with you on that, because of the fact that I think that adult decisions should not be handed over to children, and
Children
essentially what you would,
shouldn't.
yeah, yeah, exactly. No, I agree with that because of the fact that they would, in under normal normal circumstances, they would never have to decide between one parent and the other. Having to do so is literally.
Exactly.
It causes trauma to the child because they feel like they have to choose between one parent over the other. It's a traumatic experience for any child. So I mean, you said that you leave the voice of the child. I agree with that. What else would you do, Dolph? I mean, you can weigh in as well. So what would you guys do?
Yeah, I that's an interesting question. I don't think a mediator with 40 hours of training is trained at all to identify parental alienation, right? I've experienced my son being alienated, in my opinion.
Yes,
but getting someone to identify it is the problem. It's a big problem. One is there are psychological markers, but no one is prepared to seem to look at that. And no one is prepared to seem to say, right, this child meets the criteria for an alienated child and is possibly an alienated child. No one is prepared to do that. And I spoke to someone the other day and said, well, it's purely because South African courts, our Dutch Roman law system, don't at this point in time recognize parental alienation. So once that happens, and I believe they've got to have 5 cases where it is being proven, then it becomes de facto law, which is a term that was also new to me. I think it's the second time I've used that term, but it becomes law. And then in law, there are tools developed to then physically go identify it. People get trained on how to, and then end up being able to incorporate that into a voice of the child thing. That's the way I see it. Currently,
100%.
currently
Go
I don't
ahead.
think there's a process for that. You can't. The mediator certainly can't. 40 hours of training hardly get them to get to a point where conflict resolution is part of their toolkit, in my opinion.
But let's remember the Dolph, right? Is that these mediators, they have to subscribe to, according to the little the response that was left for Dominic by his Bulldogs. It stated that they subscribe to the NABFAM code of practice or whatever it is. So I think, you know what, it is. I mean, I can answer, or I would like to weigh in on what you just said in terms of that how do you identify parental alienation? I think it shouldn't be a case of identifying. I think it should be a case of acting. So if I come into a situation and I say, well, I believe that my child is being alienated, it should be treated in exactly the same way that is as if I was to come into a situation and say that my child is being sexually abused. What is going to happen? They are going to act immediately. Right? They are literally going to act immediately, and they are going to take preventative measures and all of those type of things. So I think it should be handled exactly the same. And so if we can maybe, like, these forums or these associations like NABFAM and I don't know, FAMAC and all of those type of places, if they can get these mediators to adopt that standard of saying, look, if there is an allegation of parental alienation, I think we can all agree, right, at this point in time, parental alienation is seen as psychological and emotional abuse. It is seen as that. So
abuse is abuse. Abuse is abuse, whether it's sexual.
Why are you dragging your feet? Why are you dragging your feet? Why don't you adopt it in your code of practice? Why do you have to wait for the law to say that before you actually, as an association, actually grow a heart? Why do you have to? You don't have to wait because you are causing irreparable damage in the meantime. You don't have to wait. Add it onto your code of conduct or your code of practice, and get your mediators to adhere to it. Then we don't care about the law. Then the law can fly a kite, as long as the people that is responsible for mediating these issues, they can then basically start adapting a preventative approach. That is my opinion. That's just my opinion. And again, I speak very, very emotionally. So my apologies, guys. Dom, over to you.
So there are names that I haven't removed, and the lady that you see here, Danielle Bigger, and I'm going to call her name out because she came at me on this review that I posted here. So I want to pose a question to Ms. A. Why are friends of my ex-wife coming on to a review that I have left for mediation on...
How do they know about it? How does your ex know about your review? How does your ex know about your review? I mean, this is your mediator. Is this the mediator you approached?
Yes.
Okay, so you approached you paid the mediator, right? So this is your mediator that you...
Yeah. I paid the mediator. I asked for a refund within the first week. She didn't give it to me. She told me about a non-refund policy, and then 6 to 8 weeks. I stand to be corrected. I'll give the exact dates if need be. But then that was after a YouTube video I did where I mentioned her then, and I also mentioned the Family Advocate's office being closed and us having to send emails, right? So no phone. Family Advocates closed for COVID for 3 months at this time. I think I went in July. No, I went in September. They were closed since July. Long story short, the whole video I created was around the Family Advocate, and I don't have time to type long emails. So I created a video and I said, look, I was at your offices. Here's all my documents. Here's a video explaining everything. Here's the people I approached and paid in the background, but it doesn't matter if you pay, still nothing is done. You have to wait and twiddle your thumbs. And this is where...
if I remember correctly, Tom, I also remember that they also called you psychologically unstable, and if I'm not mistaken, in their legal document and things like that. These were lawyers that called you. I don't know, I can't remember what they called you or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But I read through that review.
I don't actually read every little... I don't read every little thing that trolls put out there. I'm sorry, man. I believe that
we were called flying monkeys, if I'm not mistaken. Flying monkeys.
Oh yes,
is what we were referred to.
So
and we were referred to as
oh yeah,
your flying monkey.
so yeah,
Yeah.
this is what
So
she
again,
replied. Why am I
this
blocked?
is not
Oh, then
this is not for revenge or anything like that.
it's not
What's
for revenge,
the
but this is
Neil
alienation 101.
Daniel,
This is
if you would like
alienation
to get
101.
live with us, go ahead, Tom.
Sorry, man. These are the tactics that's used. So, saying someone is lying doesn't necessarily make you the one who's telling the truth, as we know with people with
It needs to be proven.
psychological disorders. It needs to be proven. But if I make an allegation and it's backed up by evidence, then what is that? Is that how we prove?
If you make it and you are able to back it up with irrefutable evidence,
with hardcore proof.
There needs to be no sort of
like
doubt.
Messages, a conversation, a voice recording.
I would
you said this. That is that your voice?
Yeah, I would actually say that would be the de facto.
So this here is it's manipulation. This lady here, when my child was under a year old, she
no, Dom, we're losing
take
you there,
my child,
buddy.
and I had to.
We're losing you there, bro. Like, I think look again. Let's not make the show about that. It's just literally to kind of point out exactly what these people do. Dom, we've seen what the approach is. They're quick to run to their lawyers.
It's the bullying tactics. Yeah.
They get you. They want you to shut up. That's the thing. So I don't want you to kind of sort of get yourself into more trouble.
But then also they came out on a public platform. They came on a public platform and ridiculed me. This was not about them.
And
they came on to a review
based on their responses. Essentially, what they are doing is what they are actually accusing you of doing. They are accusing you of actually making defamatory remarks and literally trying to bring their names into disrepute and ABCD. Yet they are on the same platform calling you names, bringing out personal matters. Now, how does that
personal matters on a public platform? I didn't call any of them out. They came at me.
I would actually like to pose this question because I think Bronwyn May is probably the only lawyer that we have in our audience tonight. But I mean, Bronwyn, I think if you would like to weigh in, you are a lawyer. If your client was literally doing the same thing that you are about to kind of issue a lawyer's letter on, let's say, defaming somebody's name, but your client literally took to a public platform and did exactly the same, or are we mistaken? Is this not the case? Is this maybe kind of seen as justified response? I don't know. To me, it seems like a bit of a double standard. And if as a lawyer you kind of acted on this and you kind of sending out threats to someone else, but your client is doing exactly the same thing, does that not kind of, as a lawyer, should you not have the choice, not the choice, but should you not make the decision to say, well, I should not be sending this letter, or I should not be proceeding with these actions because of the fact that it would be seen as maybe a double standard, or I don't know. I'd just like to know that.
I don't know what to make out of this. And this was my simple response. Come on the live show and let's talk about it. Yeah. Since we couldn't have mediation, when mediation was called for, accusations were made, and that stood in the way of mediation. So is that not alienation? Like an OB report. An OB report was used to overrule a family advocate's report and a court order.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Well, look, again, we know that these practices of these people, it is barbaric. It is ancient. It is outdated. And also, I mean, if they are acting in the interest of the alienator is going to feel, boasted, and they're going to feel justified, and they are going to grow these big heads and think that they walk on water. But at the end of the day, they're the ones that kind of suffer more. At the end of the day, they're the ones that kind of reach life's dead end, or and they kind of reach a point where they break down and things like that. So I believe in karma, man. That's my thing. I believe in karma. I know that as a father, I would never alienate my child from a parent. I would never do that, because of the fact that after my research, I can see what it does.
Here's my question, Kyle. If my ex is willing to come out on a public platform and say that,
I would love to hear that. I would love to hear what
that
made her so upset.
say, this is Miss A did as much as she could do. What did she do? We were never mediated. The voice of the child wasn't done, although I oppose it, but it wasn't even done. My child was never seen to. And saying this on a public platform, kids are mature. My 12-year-old daughter is mature enough to see right through her unstable father. If you're saying that on a public platform, what are you saying to the child? Wait, what are you saying to the child?
Clearly, she's saying something. Clearly, she's definitely saying. I mean, she did. You did. I didn't see you involve the child. I didn't see you mention the child. But clearly, she's saying that a 12-year-old can see instability. That a 12-year-old is qualified enough to see psychological instability in the father. That is what I'm taking. That apparently a sane mother.
Or maybe she can come on and clear up what unstable is, and that's another thing, man. It's the same thing that was done with Dolph. I spoke to Dolph earlier before he came on, and my question was, would you have been more stable if these tactics were not used against you? If you were able to see your child as it was set out in documents, family advocate reports.
You would have 350,000 rand in his pocket. That's the first thing.
Let's start with that. Let's start with that.
350,000 rand back into his pocket if this shit didn't happen.
I would still be a personal trainer. I would still be a banker. I was studying banking at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. I mean, I would literally be it has cost us so much in my relationship, and us actually moving forward as a couple. I mean, we had to put plans on hold and all of those type of things. Like, it was just a bunch of BS, man. It is literally a bunch of BS because of I think they are insecure. I think that they are insecure, and they become emotionally dependent on their children. And their children is kind of used as a validation tool to kind of validate themselves as human beings, because outside of the kids, outside of the relationship with the kids, they have no validation. So I think it is a issue of, it's a psychological issue, without a doubt.
Well, from research, that is not what I'm saying. That's and we will be playing those videos. I think on the next segment we should actually dive a bit deeper into this.
What I would like to see, Dom, I would like to actually have a show where we have exes on, and we get to hear from them, don't you think? And like, if there's anybody literally that is maybe being accused, and you don't think that these accusations being made to you, you don't believe that this is parental alienation. I would love to hear from you and just find out, like, okay, so let's hear your side of the story. No judging. We're not going to be throwing any harsh words your way. We literally just want to know exactly what is your reasoning. What is your reasoning behind it? What is
the replies that I got? The replies that I got, Kyle, made me realize that maybe she doesn't even know that she's alienating.
I think so.
She clearly doesn't know what alienation is.
I think so, man. I think these people don't understand what it is that they're doing, because they essentially
they don't understand the effect on the child. Exactly, but she herself was an alienated child.
Exactly, because it's not happening to them. I mean, I only heard about parental alienations once I started investigating about parental alienation, because it was done to me. So do you think that these people actually know when they say, oh no, this is not parental alienation? Do they actually know what parental alienation is? You know, have they actually done the research to see what damage they are doing to their children? I don't think so.
After I got these replies, after I saw these replies, I'm like, okay, wait, maybe there's another dynamic to this, because I just, from the research I did, it was a whole personality disorder, this, that, and the other. But I'm no psychologist. I can't assess that. But what if you were just instructed, and this is not insinuating anything, I'm just saying, what if you were told to actually take your child to the police station and go and open up a case by a professional, by a so-called professional, a psychologist, a mediator, or by the police?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
What if they don't know that that is actually right? I can't also. I'm in some way trying to defend the alienator. Yeah.
No, but I think we should also, because at the end of the day, they are human beings as well, man. And it's not that we
Yeah.
want to be throwing stones, because I think the best solution in these cases and these scenarios is, first of all, to not involve these so-called professionals and these so-called lawyers that literally think that you think cares about your situation. They really don't. They care about your pocket.
Yeah.
So I mean, the amicable solution here would be to do what is fair, don't you think? And
You know
don't
what?
you think that it
You know
is
what?
fair?
Sorry. I just want to go back on your question earlier.
Go
How
for it,
I
go
would
for it, bro.
handle something that you just said now sparked my mediation. Should not start with a mediator, with a paid professional. How about the family, like old school?
They come
The
together.
mother
They come together, start
brings
talking.
everyone together and say,
Yeah,
"Hey,
like a
what's
post
happening here?" No,
lady.
this
You know,
man,
exactly.
this man was good up until you got divorced. What did he do
Yeah.
to the child? No, nothing. There's no proof of it. You're not gonna do this. Klar.
But now again, you have these narcissists as well. Like, you know, in my case, and again, this is again just my opinion. If the family is listening, which I believe you guys have been listening, so and you know, no stress. You guys can come on live. I'll invite you as well. You know, we can have a
Yeah.
conversation.
Please,
You know,
open
no stress
talk.
with you guys as well. But in my case, I believe that the counterpart's family are narcissists. I believe that without a shadow of a doubt. And they actually believe that what they are doing is right. You know, and the other day when
In the
I was
best
caught
interest
ordering
of the
to
child.
visit my children, the family member of this person was actually laughing at my son disrespecting me at the gate. Like, I'm standing behind the gate and she is laughing. She's supposed to be the one who's not mediating, but she's overseeing the session, and she's laughing at my son disrespecting me. Like, I mean, do you think that is normal? I don't think that is normal, because as a father, if I was to see my son disrespect her like that, I would definitely reprimand him. I don't care who it is, if because
Absolutely.
of the fact that it's an adult, I would
It's an
definitely
adult.
reprimand him, because it is the right thing to do.
No,
Because
but here's
regardless
the
of whether
thing.
I'm hurt this person,
Any other adult, the mother will.
yes,
Look, my
if it was
daughter,
done to them,
I don't know her. I don't know her to disrespect anyone ever. She was taught that
exactly.
way from both sides.
My son
But
has never disrespected me ever.
she's taught to respect everyone but me. How
Now
do
that's
you
the thing.
explain that?
That's the thing. Like, my son, for me, like, my son has never been disrespectful to me. Oh, he's been always a sweet dude. You know, not no issues with me or whatever. Like, you know, like, just a cool dude, man. And this particular Saturday, like, I'm looking at this man and I'm thinking, oh, and I'm gonna call him a man because he's 13 years old now. So apparently he can be called a man right now. You know, his
Yeah.
voice is a bit thicker than what I last remember.
That's
But
what they
either way,
actually you shouldn't call him the man, because often said, and this is just from what I've heard, that that's what an alienating mother in this case would say. You the man of the house now. A
yeah,
child.
child cannot be a
I
man.
mean,
Like,
it's
no.
been
Allow him
shown.
to be a child. You know, like, where did this get off, man?
You
But
know,
look,
we think
we're
that.
running out of time, Dom. I think we got like a minute left. So closing
Yeah.
remarks before we end off.
Closing remarks. What can I say?
I think Dolph is
Look,
awesome, man. I think he's full of
I
knowledge and
yeah,
experience. And
he
so
is.
shout Dolph for coming on board every single time we call you. We appreciate you, man. And we hope your situation gets resolved.
In closing, what I would say is, for these professionals, these so-called professionals, the ones who are actually practicing the profession, and actually doing the right thing, please come forward again, once again, come on to the show, set the record straight with us, tell us what's
Tell
what,
us we are barking up the wrong tree. Oh, and by the way, like we had
and tell us why.
yeah. I mean, now we're over time, but I just want to end off with we had a little gentleman today message us, and this gentleman apparently had major successes in the court system, and
Yes.
he was a bit upset with the way that we kind of handled the last session with Dolph.
Right.
And he was just kind of not upset, but he disagreed with the way that we handled it. Because he say, or according to me, I believe what he's saying is that these cases can be won, and I don't disagree. I believe that
Right.
these cases can be won if you have the correct approach. So,
But there should never be a case in the first place.
correct. But what we would like to do is we would like to hear from the people that have had victories. Like if you've had a victory if you've had a victory in the family justice or system, let us know about it so that we can shout out to the mediators that are actually doing good jobs. So we can shout out to the lawyers that are doing good jobs. So we can shout out to these people that are doing good work. It's not that we just want to kind of highlight all of the negatives. It's definitely not. It's just our opinions and our experiences, man. So, yeah.
Yeah, and
That's me for the night.
finally, what I'd like to just say, how you can't expect to put someone under duress, hold a gun to their head, and say act normal.
Yeah.
It's the child
fighting for my-
metaphorically
but I must not be emotional. I'm
Yeah,
fighting for my child, but I must not
yeah.
be emotional. You can't
Pull
be
yourself together. All right.
Yeah.
So maybe if I know this might be a bit of a like an unorthodox tactic, if I'm using the right word, but what if the tables were just turned
Yeah.
for a
Put
month or
yourself in
so?
our- Yeah.
No, like literally take the child and put the child in the father's care and have the same thing done, exactly the same thing that was done to you,
How would
to
you
your
feel?
partner, and see how they handle the situation.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you all of our commenters, all of the likes. If you didn't get it again, guys, like the channel, please. It's your content. We're sharing your stories, and we appreciate you, man.
Don't forget, if you would like to be interviewed, if you'd like to come on, share your voice, type interview in the chat, fill out the short form there and book a date time, and yeah, just show up.
Yes, sir. That's me for the evening, guys. Peace
All right.
out.
Peace out. Much love. See you all.